and I had heard a story. I had shoulder surgery in October, and so I've been going to therapy. And this particular morning, the therapist was all over the place, and in my spirit, I just felt like, wow, what's going on? So I asked her what was going on, and another one of their employees there happened to be a husband out of work, and they needed a little help,
sure,
and that kind of thing. And she told me that. Now this was prior to, actually about 3 or 4 days prior to getting the money. But like I said, my thoughts were about seed money, not about, this lady. But a couple of days later, God brought her back to my heart strong.
Good.
And so when I was there, I asked her, I said, hey, is that lady here, the one you were talking about? And she said, yes, she is. I said, well, that's great. I just took the envelope, and I just handed it to her, the whole envelope. And when I told her, I said, my church did this. They brought this money to me, and they said, we're going to pass it on, and that's what I'm passing it on to you.
Awesome.
Well, did that, went home, didn't think about it anymore, kind of deal. And so what ended up happening was this morning, I get a phone call, and it's the lady. And she said, I want to call to ask you about the money you gave me. She goes, not so much for myself, she said, but that morning there was one of the patients was there with a daughter that had some kind of debilitation. I don't know exactly what, but she said that she didn't have gas money to even get her to therapy.
Wow.
And she was going to try to sell one of her wheelchairs. And she said she had just been praying, God, what can I do? I don't have any money. And she called to say, is it okay?
Wow.
I'd like to get her a gift card and a gas card. Is it okay?
Wow.
I said, hey, God said to pass it on.
That's great.
I said, and he knows her needs. He knows what she needed.
That's cool.
And I said, and so it's just great to see that, man, for me, what it did, for me, after I got off the phone with her, it just solidified in me that the things that he said he was going to do,
yep,
he's still going to do.
Yeah, he's faithful.
And those things that he was showing me, they're not gone.
That's right.
And I just got to, we're going to work together, and we're all going to work together like my pastor told us a long time ago. It's already in the house, and we're going to make this thing work.
Amen.
And a lot's going to be taken care of.
Wow. From
the church to people's personal lives.
Awesome, man. That's exciting. Well, so what do you got, Kevin?
I actually made a list of how it all went out. I was hanging out in the parking lot talking to Matt right after we walked out of here last week, and just hanging around. It was towards the end. Everybody was almost gone, and sure enough, some guy runs up with a gas can. Hey, man, can you help me out? I'm like, why, yes, I can, and he's like, I just need a couple bucks for gas. I was like, well, hop in, and I took him with his gas can. We put $2 in his gas can. I drove him to his car.
What's that, like a quart or what?
Yeah, well, it was a small can.
Oh, no.
And then we drove to his car, got his car, and then I drove him to the gas station and put 20 in his tank, and he's just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? People don't understand, they're just like, why? Why are you just people don't do this. People don't do this. You keep hearing that. And I just said, well, God wants to bless you, and his name was Justin. And last thing he said to me is like, what's that church you go to again? I'm going to come, and stuff like that. So that was $22. And then went to eat, which is rare for our family. We went out to eat somewhere. We paid the regular tip, and then I added 10 onto that. And then I was talking to a friend on Facebook, finding out that they were battling some really bad health issues. And God said, well, you have answers right here on your shelf, and he gave me three different books to send them. And it was Divine Healing by Norval Hayes, and then a Ken Hagin at Believer's Authority, and then just a little devotional book. So I used $11 to mail that to them. Awesome. And they got it today.
Awesome.
And Facebook me, man, this is so awesome. Thank you. Then I was sitting in the mall with my kids. They're in that little playground thing that you can never get by when you have little kids, So you plop down over in the massage chairs because you don't want to sit in the thing. And I was like, wow, okay. Sure enough, a couple people walk up and sit down in the massage chairs. I'm like, aren't you going to get the massage? They're like, no. I was like, sure you are. Here, shoot, you know. And like, so they're just getting a massage, you know, and I'm just sitting there. This is great, isn't it? And they're like, yeah. I said, man, that was one piece of it. And then we were eating breakfast, and there was a nice elderly couple there, and we bought them their breakfast. I felt like God said, buy their breakfast.
Awesome.
And they came up, the waitress told them who did it, and they came up, and we talked for like 10 minutes, and they're like, you've restored our faith in people. We've moved here, and nobody has been nice to us ever since we moved to Florida.
27 years ago.
I don't know, but I mean, it was cool. It was cool, you know. I mean, that one was cool, you know.
Awesome.
And you know, the last one was I have a single mom that I've been ministering to. She got saved at Redeeming Light at the fair. Awesome. She was pregnant at the time and had the baby. Called me while she was in labor. I'm having the baby, you know. I mean, it was that impacting, you know, that she called me, and so I took another 40 and added another 50, bought her a Bible and diapers and all that, and then gave her the rest of the cash.
Awesome, man.
And that's where
Wonderful.
that 100 went.
Pass it on.
Yeah, so that's all.
What
That's
else?
what I did.
Let's get the last of them here. Amanda?
Well, I actually talked to Kevin at LCU. After we left on Wednesday, I said, well, I'd been hearing about what happened in Haiti, and I said, well, I could just put the money to that, and I didn't really give it a second thought. And I talked to Kevin on Thursday, and he was telling me some of this stuff had happened, like, within a day. And I said, man, I really wish stuff like that would happen to me. People don't ever walk up to me with gas cans, and I don't ever, I've seen homeless people on the street, like when I go on mission trips, but around town and stuff, I've never seen anybody. And I'm like, man, I want like somebody to be in crisis need mode, you know, and they really need somebody, and I can come through and save the day. And I was actually with one of my friends, and we were at a cash-only place getting breakfast, and we come back out to get in our cars and leave and go to work, and she's like, oh my gosh, I don't have my keys. And I said, oh no, you know, so we're looking around and stuff, and she looks in her car, and sure enough, she locked them in her car, and I'm thinking, Lord, you know, maybe this is something I should do. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I said, well, let's call, you know, Papa Lock. I had the number on my cell phone because I used to do that all the time. And
Lock your keys in the car?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I had Papa Lock, you know, and programmed
Papa
my phone.
Lock Compassion Ministries Incorporated.
And, you know, they didn't answer the phone, and so now I'm like, oh man, what do we do? I said, the other thing I know is to maybe try and find somebody or break your window. You know, I mean, I don't know what else to do. And so all of a sudden, bright idea, call 411 and tell them you need Papa Lock, and they'll get you someone. So they did, and the guy said, you know, well, we only take cash. And you know, my friend's like, well, how much is it? And he said, it's $48 for me to pop your, you know, your car door open for you. And she said, I don't have $48, not in cash. I just spent the last $4 I had on, you know, my breakfast this morning. And I was like, I have $48, and I carried it in my purse with me the whole time because I wanted to make sure that I had it accessible. And so I just said, you know, here, take this. And she's like, no, you were going to give that money to Haiti, because I told her about it and, you know, said that's what I felt like I was going to do. And I said, you know, here, just take it, and then you give money to Haiti, you know, and I'll take the change, give me the change back, and I'll put that towards Haiti.
Awesome.
So I don't know if she did or not, but I'm hoping she did and gave money to Haiti too. And so then Sunday comes, and I said, you know, I still got about, you know, $52 or so left, and Lord, do you really want me to give this to Haiti, or, you know, maybe something else is going to come up? And I got a phone call, and they said, hey, could you do the offering for mezzanine tonight? We want you to really talk about giving an offering to Haiti. And I was like, all right, I'm giving it to Haiti. So I get there, and I was actually on stage doing the offering, so I didn't get the chance to actually put my offering in. And I walk out in the lobby, and friends of mine are going to Australia, and just really believe in God to do, you know, fulfill the calling that they have on their life. And I really felt like I should support them, so I opened up my envelope, and I had 2 20s, and so I said, okay, here's for you. And, you know, the guy said, oh, let me get you change, you know, and I said, no, you don't need to give me change. And he was like, are you kidding me? And I said, no. And he goes, well, take 2 bracelets then. He was giving people bracelets if they gave money, and it just really blessed him. Yeah.
Awesome.
It says Australia or bust.